Good evening from San Francisco. I'll be doing my open threads in this new video format from now on. I just figure that if you want my reaction, my hot takes to breaking news, then you can just hop over to my Twitter, my X. Otherwise, just copying all that stuff over to the open threads, it's somewhat of a chore. I never really enjoyed it when I used to do that at the UNS review, so I'm probably not just going to decide against starting doing that all over again. So yeah, from now on, just going to be videos. A couple more issues. Working on my book, The Biosingularity is Near, but an expansion of that article from just over a year ago, making the case for human intelligence enhancement. I've decided that to incentivize quicker work on this, I'll be publishing previews of the chapters and making them available to you guys for review, and the whole chapters for paying subscribers, just as a way to reward paying subscribers. And yeah, the Rational Wiki article. Well, it is what it is. We'll see what happens with them. I sort of just spent more than a week writing that article. Don't really feel like commenting on it. I just sort of want to forget about it ASAP. So, I mean, if you want to discuss it in the comments or whatever, then knock yourselves out, but I will probably just be refraining from any further commentary for the time being. So yeah, San Francisco, back here for the first time since 2016. I actually think that the city is cleaner, more functional than when I left. I mean, it was really already beginning to degrade at around that time. But it really went downhill afterward, and you know, you had this sort of like infamous things with the needles and the human shit on the sidewalks, and legalized theft essentially. I think the like rock bottom was reached around 2022, I think, and since then it's gone up. I mean, if anything, much of it now seems cleaner and more functional than London, if anything, which, coupled with its natural beauty, obviously makes it a viable contender for one of the world's great city, and the Athens of the modern age, the place where the imminent sand gods are being constructed. Basically, I think what they did, they seem to have shunted off a lot of the problematic individuals and things over to the Tenderloin, and that still seems to have many of those afflictions. Like, if anything, in the more concentrated area, the rents there are correspondingly low. Like, you can get a studio there for 2,000, even 1,800. The rest of the city, like, can't really get anything below 2,500, 3,000, I think, is more typical. So yeah, I mean, it's basically expressed in the price, but you wouldn't want to live there anyway. Yeah, prices. I'm a big fan of those Numbeo maps. There's the website Numbeo, and it basically has price comparisons from across the world. So San Francisco, New York City, obviously, Switzerland, they're all more or less on the same level. Like, I think if anything, rent is actually a bit cheaper in the elite Swiss cities where every third person is a millionaire. So yeah, but then again, I think the average wage in San Francisco is something like $200,000 and $250K in San Jose, like in Silicon Valley. So it stands to reason that it's so absurdly inflated, like considerably more expensive than London, actually. Yeah, not for the poor. I think if you want to live here, if you want to live in the US as a whole, quite frankly, then you need to have a reason for doing that, like family or a physical job that keeps you tied there. Otherwise, at this point, just becoming an expat in East Asia, or whatever, or Europe or India, seems like the most viable way forward. And frankly, that's might be what I'll do next later this year. Anyway, oh yeah, one further note, I finally sort of completed my transition, my elite human capital queer woke freak transition, and I finally got the Mac Air M4. So yeah, like the good machine, very smooth and intuitive, etc., etc. But really, it's the main thing I love about it is the battery. I've been using it for a couple of days now, and it's still 50% full, like my older Dell machine. Like doesn't even lasts 2 or 3 hours, frankly, without charging. So yeah, absolutely night and day. Will probably just be migrating into the Apple ecosystem, and now that I'm capitulating, we might some chance that it represents a local top. Some people have been complaining about the software recently, but well, it is what it is. We'll see. My next post that I'm actively working on right now, my long read. This will be on life in the near AGI era. I think the timelines are short. I mean, we're really, like since '03, I believe we're basically entering the era of human history where talented, smart and agentic individuals can start multiplying their productivity, and what previously took the work of like billions of dollars on giant corporations can increasingly be done by motivated technophile small teams. And this is going to represent a kind of golden age in innovation and productivity growth and creativity. But really, I mean, you have to ask yourself the question. I mean, further improvements in AI load on the same technological progress. OpenAI, no doubt, has even more advanced models under the hood that they're using specifically to train the next generation of frontier models, and ergo for the other like leading labs, Anthropic and Google, I think, are the main players at this point, head and shoulders ahead of everybody else. So I mean, you have to ask yourself how long humans will actually, like human cognitive output will remain relevant in the area of content creation and software. I mean, obviously, I think I actually agree with Rocco's Digifoom thesis that software is probably just going to be solved in the next 2 to 5 years. I think sooner 2 years than 5 years, but like Scott Alexander's 2027 scenario, I don't exclude that at all. And then it will sort of start intruding into the physical world, but at a slower pace because, well, I mean, obviously, wet labs, biology, as well as the world of molecules, as well as the world of atoms, robots, factories. This is slower than the world of bits. So, but yeah, I mean, my kind of world model at this stage is 2 to 5 years of you remaining relevant and doing the last original and creative things that you've ever wanted to do, and after that the super intelligence civilization will reformat the terrestrial surface in its own image, and whether the question of whether biology has a future in this world is something that's very open. I mean, I'm not a doomer, I'm not an unbridled EAC optimist. I'm just sort of maintaining a neutral outlook. I don't think this dynamic can be stopped. The very logic of capitalism militates against that. But anyhow, next big post is going to be a discussion of the optimal way to live the last years of the human era. Now, relative to these topics, the whole thing about culture war and politics and Trump and tariffs, I mean, it almost pales into insignificance to some extent. And I mean, I actually had a Twitter, I realized this in late 2022, early 2023. I had a whole post thread on X about how all these culture war issues, from abortion to natalism to whatever, to LGBT to global homo, I mean, it's all basically become irrelevant pretty much. Although even ironically like society has become extremely polarized with basically like anti-vaxxer, becoming head of the HHS under the like really weird and bizarre political developments occurring. But the thing is, this kind of content does create more clicks and people do remain irrationally interested in it. So I will be commenting on it. But as I said, I just don't feel that it's an appropriate avenue for expending cognitive mind power on. So I'm not going to be writing big ass essays about this. I mean, okay, I will write one essay just reviewing my predictions about Trump, all of which have pretty much come true. So that post I had about Trumpism can't get fooled again. If anything, he even exceeded my very minimal expectations, and even people like Hanania, where I was wrong about Trump, and Nathan Kofnes, they're throwing in the towel and basically admitting that that they were wrong to tactically embrace Trumpism as a foil against the Kamala and Day and SJWs. So I mean, the time to do that was a decade ago, but I'm past that, so it's all kind of irrelevant at this point. But yeah, just to quickly comment on Trump, and I mean, I will have one final essay just reviewing this, but although other stuff takes precedence. The tariffs, declaring tariff war on the whole world makes zero sense. Like the whole point of tariffs, there's several justifications for tariffs. There's the mercantile reasons, which were disproven by political economists like centuries ago, Ricardo, and that's not even worth addressing. There's the strategic protectionism arguments, like incubating high-tech industries, like Friedrich List. I actually did read all of List's book, and even he specifically argues that you must only use tariffs, like it's only middle-income countries that want to incubate high-tech sectors of the economy that should do targeted tariffs to develop these infant industries in conjunction with industrial espionage and R&D programs. None of this is relevant to the US, obviously. It's the not the world's technological frontier, and frankly, it's free trade that allows Americans to, not assemble toasters, but work on resurrecting mammoths and dire wolves, like actual cool shit like that. But it's like Trump's brainworms. People are convinced that he has this master plan, that he's playing 10D chess. How can you really take people seriously who are talking about 10D chess or whatever? Like in the year 2025, this is obviously a guy whose brain is turning to mush. He watches TV. He's been convinced of the case for tariffs since at least the 1980s. His brain has fossilized, there's basically no culture of critique within the conservative movement or within the Republican Party at this point. It's all just one big Trumpist cult. So these people can't even say no to him, and they're going taking the whole country and the world, for that matter, for this wild ride. So in fairness, Trump is funny, and so it's entertaining to observe all of this. It's you could go into those various entropic shadow arguments that really improbable stuff will start happening as you approach the singularity. I'll have a post about that as well. Immigration, he's sending the migrants back, not just illegal, undocumented immigrants, but just young German tourist women, random scientists getting deported. Total schizo hours. The one thing I'll also note is that there's also no due process, and some of the undocumented immigrants who've been sent back, these were people with a permit to stay in the US who've been basically sent to Nayib Bukele's horror prison in El Salvador, where there's 150 men to a single room. There's it's always light. There's like no darkness. There's no mattresses. It's basically a torture dungeon. It's wild what's happening. It's probably going to be like those conservatives who are shilling for Abu Ghraib in another few years, I think. They're not going to enjoy that. I'm pretty clear about the Trumpism is a failure, and we're probably just going to see a decade of reinvigorated wokeness after 2028. I've read that abundance book recently, but it's too high IQ. There's no mass audience for this. Like the woke stuff, it's like for simpler people, and people find it easy to understand that. And I think that within leftisms, by the laws of idiocracy, just as Trumpism, MAGA, has won the battle of ideas within the conservative movement, so I'm just going to be betting on the wokes beating the abundance people within the liberal left wing of the political spectrum. But we'll see. I hope the abundance people do win, actually, but because probably the ones most aligned with my own sort of visions for the future. But to the extent, obviously, that politics remains relevant, which I don't really think it will be for much longer after 2028. So, this will be the term in which AGI happens, and the one after that will be the one in which ASI happens, and then all the other stuff becomes pretty much irrelevant. A couple more observations, actually. Another irony of Trump's victory in the US and the insanity of the MAGA movement is that he seems to have single-handedly reversed the rising populist tide that has been engulfing the rest of the world. Well, not all of it, but like large chunks of it. So the Canadian Conservative candidate was leading by 20 percentage points, but then Trump started talking about making Canada the 51st state, and Carney ended up actually winning, and the Conservative candidate didn't even win his own seat. I think something similar has happened in Australia. In Europe, the Europeans are spooked by what's happening in the US. One thing when it's just like Russia, which has the GDP of Italy, becoming revanchist and becoming this dumb rightoid force and invading Ukraine, which is but there's some distance between them, because a Portuguese person or even a German doesn't really have that much investment on what's happening in around Kramatorsk or whatever. But now that one of the three major poles of the world economy, the EU, the US, and China, and one of them has gone weird, your natural concerns develop, and so I think this, more than anything, probably explains the recent recognition of the ADF, Alternative for Deutschland, as an extremist right-wing party. It's definitely far right. Whether it's extremist, I guess, is a matter of semantics. It's obviously got a kind of a Hitlerist crypto-Nazi wing, but I think most of them are just rightoid normies, that their leader, Alice, in her conversation with Musk, she said that the liberal left are the real Nazis. It's like this really dumb Americanoid political discourse. So probably it's dumber more than it's extremist right, if anything. But yeah, obviously these American developments, I think they really may have spooked out the Europeans. Tesla sales have collapsed by 50 to 70% across the EU, including in Germany. And the mania has said that their previous presidential candidate, who was like very right wing into conspiracy theories, all kinds of like the magnetic center of the world is Romania, like the holy waters of the Transylvanian mountains, like the obscure, esoteric, schizoid stuff like that. So they disqualified him, but then some other aligned Daitoi just replaced him. So are they now going to ban him as well? Who really cares what happens in Romania? It's not like a significant country, 50 million, relatively poor, although it's been growing fast. It's converged with Hungary, but not that relevant at the end of the day. Probably, I think 2024 was the high tide of the populist reaction, and if anything, the sort of like the main political concerns going forward will just be increasingly dominated by the AI discourse and how to react to it, like UBI perhaps a resurrection of Yangian discourse from 2019. And the other sort of expression of this anti-populist tide would be what's happening in Hungary, Serbia, Turkey. As I mentioned, Romania, which has much lower human capital on average than Hungary, has actually economically converged. Hungary used to be almost as developed as Czechia, less developed, much more developed than Poland, but Poland and Czechia are well ahead of it now, and it's basically converged, like deconverged to the level of the Balkans, like places like Romania and Bulgaria and Serbia. It seems that people are getting rather tired of Orban. Like I was in Hungary last year. You can't find a single woman in Budapest who's younger than 30 who's pro-Orban. I mean, they just hate him, view him as a fascist dictator, basically. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, and yeah, there's some tiredness of Orban being in power for so long and presiding over economics policies that were ultimately not successful, and even the natalism that he was promoting hasn't been very successful. It's, I think, the latest TFR is 1.2 children per woman, so not doing very great in that respect even. There's this new guy called Peter Magyar who's polling better than Orban's Fidesz now, and will probably actually just win the next elections, assuming they're free and fair. So that would be the end of Orbanism if that happens. Similarly, massive protests in Serbia against Vucic. In fairness, they're not really against sort of him being pro-Russian or whatever, but just the general pattern of these strongmen being really corrupt. Pretty obvious that Orban's entourage is extremely corrupt, just Putinism, but at a much lower scale, because Hungary is smaller and it also has to keep appearances before the EU authorities. And yes, I think similar story developing in Serbia, though probably the chances of I think Vucic probably survives. He's an astute survivor, but he also incurring problems. And obviously in Turkey, I think another thing that Trump has done, he sent a signal that the US will no longer be engaged in democracy promotion / color revolution type discourse. Obviously, if anything, the color revolution discourse now applies to the US itself. And I think many strongmen who were previously straddling two sides of the divide, keeping up appearances while doing some shady stuff on the side, they are now going to be doing a lot more extra legal stuff. So Erdogan at any rate was sufficiently emboldened to just like a real Chad, just jail his main opponent, Imamoglu. So, and that provoked protests. I'm not saying that these protests are going to amount to anything. Ultimately, color revolutions as a rule only ever succeed when there's a split between the elites. It's especially the Western-oriented elites who have bank accounts in the West and who would not tolerate the West sanctioning them. So this is why Yanukovych was overthrown 2 times in Ukraine. It's not because even 1 million people marched in Kiev. It's just because The elites, including even the Eastern Blue elites, they did not want to lose access to their bank accounts, so they acceded to his overthrow. But now that this is less of a factor, with the U.S. embracing a more realist foreign policy, that's actually in some sense bullish for dictators against color revolutions, even regardless of the growing discontent that's exploding in several countries against them. A few final things. Israel going after Palestine again, bombing Gaza. Don't really have much comment to make about this. One shout out I will make is the account History Speaks and Drew Pavlo. They recently had a very good debate on YouTube. It lasted 4 hours, but it was very comprehensive. My opinion, History Speaks won. But you might have, he's just more knowledgeable, at least in that topic. Kudos to Drew for participating in the debate and, not hiding or whatever. I think History Speaks won there. So yeah, just shout out there. Also, interesting stuff going on in Africa. We speak a lot about Ukraine because it's like middle-income white people countries, and we speak a lot about Israel and Palestine because Gaza, because Gaza had the mascot children, like the mascots of the global left, and I kind of do actually sympathize with their plight. And Israel obviously is a source of sympathy for right-wingers and conservatives across the West, especially in the US. So it's natural for a lot of people to be invested in that as well. But there's actually right now there's a conflict that's almost as big. Basically, Rwanda is doing a kind of unofficiated kind of the Donbass 2014-2015 offensive on eastern Congo, seizing its lithium mines the way a proxy force called the MS-23. The M23, sorry. Yeah, MS-23 is for noobs, like the pros talk about the M23 in the context of African geopolitics. But yeah, what's fascinating about this is that the scale of death and suffering there is actually probably quite comparable to what's happening in Ukraine and in Gaza. But it's Africa, and it's poor countries, and people don't really talk about it. There's no talk of value at all. There wasn't even ever any talk of values. It's just straight up honest power politics. And France supports Rwanda because Rwanda is a very organized state, and they provide security protection services for French oil and gas installations in Mozambique, and the Chinese broadly support Rwanda as well. But at the same time, the Americans have acquired a major interest in supporting Congo. A few weeks ago, there was actually Trump even randomly mentioned Congo, and do you know why? Because it signed a big minerals deal with Congo. And now the Americans have become the patrons of the Congo. So you have this cyberpunk kind of proxy war in sub-Saharan Africa between France and the US, which nobody talks about really, but which is kind of fascinating. But finally a brief comment on crypto. I was obviously bullish on crypto. I think the world situation seems obviously bullish for high quality decentralized crypto assets. As I said, my main thesis is that high quality decentralized crypto assets, they are the most rigorous framework for property rights in the digital realm, and to the extent that the world economy continues becoming more digital, that's very bullish for crypto, and I expect it to not end up as the early 21st century version of the tulip bubble. Although that's possible. I think there's like maybe a 10 or 15% chance that it ends like that. But I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I think it will continue going up. And I think that obviously AI is hyper bullish for crypto, like especially agentic AGI. Because where is the AGI going to secure value? Is it going to secure value within human institutions, which are subject to the rule of man, the capricious rule of man, or is it going to secure it on the immutable, decentralized blockchain? I think it's logical for the latter to happen. Like even if you ask like LLMs today, like the O3 or like where would you sort of keep your assets? Like they usually name Ethereum, so they already realize where the game is at. So I am macro bullish on crypto, like despite the retreat we've seen, like the 50% decline in the Ethereum price. I mean, short term, I don't really care to make predictions. I mean, it would be logical for 1,600 to be the local bottom for Ethereum, and I'm obviously not going to be selling anything here, like not after a 50% collapse. But on the other hand, I mean, the problem is Trump, right? Because you can deregulate crypto in the US, open it up to American consumers. You can now even collect WorldCoin in the US. Before you had to use a VPN. Now, like American citizens can actually collect the WorldCoin, just as a random example. And you can, like the AI can go forwards. But if Trump decides to just collapse the world economy because he loves tariffs, because he's a boomer whose brain has fossilized, then it is what it is. You can't really predict that. I mean you can if you're in the insider circles of Trump, and you get those signals early on, and there's obviously insiders who are trading on this information. Like all the major crypto moves have been made well in advance of major policy announcements. So it's really corrupt, but yeah, I mean, unless you have that kind of alpha, it's not super productive. I mean, predicting short-term price movements in crypto was a fool's errand, even at the more normal days, and with Trump just playing the stock market like a shitcoin. It's doubly useless, especially since crypto is well known as being beta to stocks. Like when stocks collapse by 20%, then crypto collapses by 50%. So I mean, that's just how it works. It's a new asset, it's a risky asset, it's seen as a risky asset. I mean, there's a lot of scams, obviously, I don't deny that. And that's just something that you have to bear in mind. If you don't want to know your future net worth, then like your net worth tomorrow, then go invest in crypto. But I do think that 10x is still in Ethereum's future, even before the ASI. And yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the world's single most obvious and accessible and undervalued asset. So obviously not selling anything. Don't really care to long it at this point, because like tomorrow, yes, he could lift the sanctions, the tariffs on China, and crypto could pump 25% in a single day. Or he could announce a special military operation against Greenland or Canada or whatever, and it could, Bitcoin could fall back down to 30k or whatever. So it's pointless trying to predict it unless you have the inside alpha, and I'm just not going to do it. I mean, I said I was bullish several months ago, and I ended up essentially holding a return ticket. I was open about having bought back Ethereum at 1,600 at the beginning of this bull run, having previously sold it at like above 4,000. I didn't sell any at 3,500, and now it's back at like 1,800, I think, last time I checked. So return tickets. I mean, I'm in the same boat as many of you guys, so it is what it is. But I'm not in a rush to sell it, because ultimately I am still bullish on all of those, on Ethereum, and to some extent as well on the DeSci space, although I think the gains there are going to be like slower in coming, and downstream of AI really sort of like revving up those sectors. I mean, yeah, one sort of like important thing about AI is that you know, you have like that meme I made about the Chad new fad in AI. Like every new half a year, there's a new paradigm, and then there's biotech, which is just scam after scam after scam. Like, you know, Theranos. Now there's questions about Minicircle. You know, it's very dubious about what Brian Johnson is doing. Holistically speaking, obviously, it's like wellness woo-woo as opposed to anything like biotech per se. But still, I mean, it's so. There hasn't been a single patent for like longevity, like a longevity drug ever. It's a very like the GLPs are basically the biggest innovation that has come out of pharma biotech in the past decade, I think at least. And yeah, I mean, it's been disappointing. But I think what will happen is that once AI gets going, the incredible pattern recognition potential of AI is going to link all these disparate studies together, like all these disparate mechanisms that all tie into each other in ways that the human brain simply is too dumb to comprehend, isn't big enough, the RAM isn't big enough in our brain to just sort of like really internalize even like metabolic pathways, like let alone all the other like 20 or so systems on which our bodies run. But big like the frontier models of the near future are going to be able to do that. And I think that that biotech is just going to accelerate in a very major way at that point. And I sort of allow that by 2030 you will have we might actually like certain demographics, like not the population as a whole, but certain connected and or rich demographics might actually enter the LEV era, the longevity escape velocity era by 2030. That would not surprise me at all. So yeah, and it's extremely important to sort of take care that you don't take unnecessary risks, and just live to see how the human age ends, like what's sort of like been the whole point of it all over the past 4 billion years. So that's the kind of like the next big post that I'll be writing, as I said, live in the near AGI either. And I guess we'll end this video open thread with that thought. Okay, take care.